During our cruise around Norway late last year, we ended up staying in our only second ever inside cabin. In this video, I'm going to show you around an inside cabin that sleeps 4 people on Emerald Princess. And explain why, because of one very specific reason, I personally wouldn't choose this particular cabin type again. First though, let's do a quick overview of the Emerald Princess herself. She first sailed in April 2007 and is part of the Crown class, which actually sits within the wider Grand class. Her closest sister ships are Crown Princess and Ruby Princess. She also underwent a fairly significant refurbishment in 2019, which brought refreshed dining venues and of course the medallion net technology across the ship. In terms of size, she carries just over 3,000 guests and around 1,200 crew and spans 19 decks in total. Emerald Princess is still a beautiful ship with all the amenities you'd expect from a princess cruise, and she's clearly been well looked after. The decor leans heavily into that classic princess style with lots of tan and brown wood throughout. Whether that feels elegant or a bit dated really comes down to personal taste. Which actually leads me quite nicely into our cabin tour, because you'll find plenty of that tan wood in there too. Cabin R733 is located on deck 14, also known as the Riviera deck, towards the aft of the ship. One of the main reasons we chose this cabin was its location. There's an exit just a short walk away that takes you straight out to the aft pool and bar, and because we were staying in an inside cabin, having such easy access to the outside without needing an elevator was a huge bonus. It also meant we could reach the buffet from the back of the ship by going up just a few flights of stairs. Overall, the location was excellent. We could easily nip outside for some fresh air or grab a sun lounger in the slightly hidden spot at the back of the ship and enjoy the sunshine when it appeared. We were cruising around Norway in November, so we fully expected cooler weather, but we were pleasantly surprised. There were several days warm enough to sit outside, read our books and take in the incredible scenery. The room itself is classed as Category IE Quad Cabin, which is an inside cabin that can sleep up to 4 people. So now, let's take a closer look at what you actually get in this cabin for your money. Starting with the bed, and in my opinion the most important part of any cabin, because who wants a bad night's sleep? I will say, one thing I've never really had an issue with on any princess cruise is the bed, and this one was no exception. It's made up of 2 singles pushed together to form a queen, but this cabin can also be configured as a twin. And honestly, if you don't mind sleeping separately, that might actually be a better layout for this room, and I'll explain why a bit later. You never feel the join in the mattress, so that's nothing to worry about. On either side of the bed are bedside cabinets. Each one has 2 drawers and a small open section at the top. On top of those are bedside lamps, each with its own twist control. You might notice a bit of damage to the lamp here. There were a few areas in this room that could definitely do with a little TLC. Each side of the bed also has its own light controls. On my side, the switches were behind my bed rather than on the wall, while Luke's were on the wall next to the lamp. Inside cabins, especially where it's always dark, being able to turn the lights on and off from the bed is essential if you want to avoid hurting yourself. At floor level, the bedside cabinets have motion sensor lights that come on when you stand up, which is really handy if you need to visit the bathroom during the night without switching the main lights on. There's also a motion sensor light outside the bathroom. This is standard across princess ships and cabins, but I will say in an inside cabin it's very bright. If that's something that might wake you or your partner up, I definitely recommend bringing a sleep mask. Between the pillows at the back of the bed you'll find this thing. I did not touch it. But if you do know what it is, let me know in the comments below. Directly above the bed is a huge mirror, and when I say huge, I mean huge. I don't think I've ever stayed in a cabin with this many mirrors. They are everywhere. It's a nice mirror, but combined with all the other mirrors, you really can't escape your own reflection in this cabin. Now on to my nemesis. As I mentioned earlier, this cabin sleeps 4, 2 people in the main bed and 2 in the upper berths, which you can see folded up against the wall here. These beds fold down over the main bed, and there are 2 ladders that attach to the bottom to allow access. When not in use, the ladders are stored inside the wardrobe. Each of these upper beds can hold up to £250 or around 17 stone, so yes, you can technically have 4 adults in this cabin. If you're interested, hang on until the recap and I'll explain why this was the single reason I wouldn't choose this cabin type again. We also noticed some wall damage underneath the beds here, which probably isn't an easy fix and will likely need to be addressed at the next ship's dry dock. At the end of the bed is the desk area and more storage. Starting on the left hand side, there's a raised section on top where you can store items to keep them off the main desk surface. We actually asked for a kettle in the room, so this became our little hot drink station. And yes, there's yet another mirror tucked into the corner above it. Just below that is the in-room fridge, which is great if you need to keep medications cool, store snacks, or if you're anything like me, grab a glass of milk during the day when you've got the kettle in the room. The desk itself is a good size with enough space for makeup, toiletries or even using a laptop. On the desk you'll also find the room phone, which you can use to call other cabins or ship services like restaurant bookings and guest services. There are 2 sockets here, and these are the only power sockets in the entire cabin. They're both US style sockets, so if you need anything else you'll need to bring a converter. There are no USB sockets and none by the bed or in the lamps like on the newer ships, which means you'll be charging your phone overnight at the desk rather than by the bed. The chair is comfortable enough, though the only slight inconvenience is that when someone's sitting there, it does make walking around the bed a little bit tight. Under the desk you'll find the main cabin bin. On the left side of the desk is additional storage, 3 shelves where we like to stash snacks and loose items out of the way so the steward can tidy the room more easily. At the very end of the desk is yet more storage. Overall there were plenty of places to keep all the little bits and bobs, which helps keep the cabin relatively tidy-ish. Above the desk is the rather antique looking hairdryer. Don't worry, these don't actually work, and I'd advise against picking it up anyway because it took me ages to get it back properly. There is a usable hairdryer provided, stored in the cupboard under the desk or on the shelves at the end, and that worked perfectly fine. And yes, another large mirror above the desk for doing your hair or makeup. Because the 2 large mirrors in this cabin face each other, you also get that infinity mirror effect. I think the intention was to make the cabin feel bigger, but it feels slightly like a house of mirrors instead. Above the desk is a decent sized TV that you can comfortably watch from bed. As with all Princess cabins, there's a good selection of TV shows and films for all ages, including some fairly recent releases. As you enter the cabin, on the right hand side is the wardrobe area. The wardrobes are a really good size, with plenty of hangers for 2 people's clothes for a 2-week cruise. There's also a shelf right at the top where you'll find the life jackets along with extra space for storing other items. We usually store our suitcases and hand luggage at the bottom of the wardrobe so we can throw our dirty laundry straight in as we go, and still have plenty of room for hanging clothes. Next to the wardrobe is a set of shelves for folded clothes, and one of those shelves you'll find the room safe. It's a decent size, big enough for passports and wallets, but not quite large enough for a laptop. It's easy to use, just close the door, enter a 4-digit code to lock it, and use the same code to unlock it. Now on to the bathroom. Cruise ship bathrooms are built as a single unit, so there is a small lip as you step in. Definitely watch your toes. The sink is a good size with space on either side for personal items and a large mirror covering the wall above. Hand wash and lotion are provided, and I've noticed on recent cruises that the scent has been toned down quite a bit, which is great if you've got sensitive skin to strong smells. To the right of the sink is a small rack for toiletries. I wouldn't store anything tall or top heavy in here, or at least lie the items down, because in rough seas things get a habit of trying to escape. You'll also find a shaver socket here. For anyone in the UK, our standard shaver plugs won't fit. I believe it's an EU style shaver socket, so you'll need an adapter. Under the sink is additional storage including sanitary bags, a bathroom bin and spare toilet paper. The toilet is a toilet. The main thing to remember is to not flush anything other than the ship provided toilet paper, and even then not too much of it, down the toilet. Cruise ships use vacuum toilet systems to conserve water, which makes them very sensitive and easy to block. That's also why the toilet paper always feels quite thin. You'll find face tissues by the sink. Do not flush these, pop them in the bin. The shower itself is fine, though I do find these bathrooms to be a bit smaller than on the Royal Class ships. And we also have my second nemesis of this cabin, the shower curtain. We had many arguments. My tip, especially if you're a little round like me or tall like Luke, is to stand with your back against the wall. Otherwise, you may unknowingly catch the shower curtain and end up giving the bathroom floor a very thorough, unintentional wash. The shower height is good, so if you're around 6'3" or under, you shouldn't really have any issues. There's a small shelf higher up for toiletries, and the temperature controls are about midway on the wall. I'd recommend turning on the shower before you step in it, as there isn't enough space to dodge the initial blast of cold water, even though the shower head does actually move. Below the controls you'll find the supplied shower gel and shampoo. I used the ship shampoo on this cruise and found it perfectly fine. I just brought my own conditioner, and in fact I'll be doing the same on our upcoming cruise to save luggage space. There's also a grab bar in the shower for anyone with mobility needs, or just for extra stability if the seas get rough. There is a small lip stepping into the shower, so the grab bar is actually useful. At the top of the shower is a pull-out washing line for hanging clothes. I'll be honest though, I've tried these on several ships, and because there's very little airflow, things rarely dry completely. Finally, towels. For 2 people, you're provided with 2 hand towels and 2 bath towels, and there are 2 hooks on the back of the bathroom door. Depending on your room steward, you may be given extra towels even if you hang yours up, but that's not guaranteed. If you're happy to reuse your towels, hang them up. If you want fresh ones, leave them on the bathroom floor. And yes, the final mirror of the room. A floor-to-ceiling mirror by the wardrobe and bathroom, just in case you still haven't had enough of your own reflection. So on to the recap. The cabin itself was perfectly fine and functional, with plenty of storage for 2 people. Even with 2 adults and 1 or 2 younger children, I think you could comfortably fit everything you need. Older children on a 2-week cruise, storage might start to feel a bit tight, but these cabins are clearly designed with younger families in mind. It does feel a little dated and could do with a few repairs, but it's an older ship, so it's never going to feel ultra modern. The mirrors are intense, but everything worked. The TV was large, the bed was comfortable, and I always appreciate having a fridge in the room. The bathroom is compact, but it didn't negatively affect our enjoyment of the cruise at all. However, this brings me to why I wouldn't choose this specific type of cabin again. When we booked, they double checked that we were aware that the cabin slept 4. At the time, having never stayed in an inside cabin before, I said, yeah, of course, no problem. Now I completely understand why they asked. If you don't need the extra beds, I would strongly recommend booking an inside cabin without the drop-down berths if one is available. Because of where the beds are positioned on the wall and the limited space either side of the main bed, you have to lean forward to get in and out. During the night, in that half-asleep, bleary-eyed state, both of us repeatedly forgot about the folded beds above us and smashed our shoulders into the bottom edge when trying to get up, hard, more than once. We ended up landing back on the bed, rubbing our shoulders in pain. I had a fairly sizable bruise on my right shoulder by the end of the 2 weeks, and no, I did not learn after the first time. I would absolutely stay in an inside cabin on this ship again, just not one with the fold-down beds if it's just the 2 of us. That said, if you're happy sleeping in a twin setup, this issue pretty much disappears. With the beds configured as twins, one bed sits directly under the fold-down berth, meaning when you get up you step into the middle of the room rather than underneath the folded bed. That layout would work so much better, and had we thought of it at the time, we might have actually done that instead. But for me personally, I don't want to sleep separately from my partner for 2 weeks, so for us this cabin is a no. So that's cabin R733. Have you stayed in a quad inside cabin like this before? And if you were travelling as a family, how did you find the space? I'd really be interested to hear your experience. So thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to make sure you see all our new content as soon as it's up. But until next time, happy travels.